Yo, what's going on, y'all? And welcome back to the Reading the Entire Bible series. Today, or tomorrow, or whatever. 10 chapters. Let's get it. The prophetic call to Samuel. Now the boy Samuel was attending to the service of the Lord under the supervision of Eli. The word of the Lord was rare and precious in those days. Visions, that is, new revelations of divine truth, were not widespread. Yet it happened at that time as Eli was lying down in his own place. Now his eyesight had begun to grow dim and he could not see well. And the oil lamp of God had not yet gone out. And Samuel was lying down in the temple of the Lord where the ark of God was. That the Lord called Samuel, and he answered, Here I am. He ran to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. But Eli said, I did not call you. Lie down again. So he went and lay down, or went and lay down. Then the Lord called him yet again, Samuel. So Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. But Eli answered, I did not call you, my son. Lie down again. Now Samuel did not know yet, did not yet know or personally experience the Lord, and the word of the Lord was not yet revealed directly to him. So the Lord called Samuel a third time, and he stood up and went to Eli and said, Here I am, for you did call me. Then Eli understood that it was the Lord who was calling the boy. So Eli said to Samuel, Go lie down, and it shall be that if he calls you, you shall say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. Then the Lord came and stood and called as at the previous times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for your servant is listening. The Lord said to Samuel, Behold, I am about to do a thing in Israel at which both ears of everyone who hears it will ring. On that day I will carry out against Eli everything I have spoken concerning his house family, from the beginning to the end, or from beginning to end. Now I have told him that I am about to judge his house forever for the sinful behavior which he knew was happening, because his sons were bringing a curse on themselves, dishonoring and blaspheming God, and he did not rebuke them. Therefore I have sworn to the house of Eli that the sinful behavior of Eli's house family shall not be atoned for by sacrifice or offering forever. So Samuel lay down until morning. Then he opened the doors of the Lord's house. But Samuel was afraid to tell the vision to Eli. But Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. And he answered, Here I am. Then Eli said, What is it that he said to you? Please don't hide it from me. Please do not hide it from me. May God do the same to you, and more also, if you hide from me anything of all that he said to you. So Samuel told him everything, hiding nothing from him. And Eli said, It is the Lord. May he do whatever seems good to him. Now Samuel grew, and the Lord was with him, and he let none of his words fail to be fulfilled. And all Israel from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south knew that Samuel was appointed as a prophet of the Lord. And the Lord continued to appear in Shiloh, for the Lord revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by the word of the Lord. The Philistines take the ark in victory. At the word of the Lord through Samuel came to act, and the word of the Lord of the Lord through Samuel came to all Israel. Now Israel went out to meet the Philistines in battle, and they camped beside Ebenezer, while the Philistines camped at Aphek. The Philistines assembled in battle formation to meet Israel, and when the battle was over, Israel was defeated by the Philistines. Baseball. Who killed about 4,000 men on the battlefield. When the soldiers, came into the camp, the elders of Israel said, Why has the Lord defeated us today before the Philistines? Let us bring the ark of the Lord here from Shiloh, so that he may come among us and save us from the hand of our enemies. So the people sent word to Shiloh, and from there they carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord of hosts, who sits above the cherubim. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were with the Ark of the Covenant of God. So it happened, as the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord came into the camp, all the people of Israel shouted with a great shout, and the earth resounded. When the Philistines heard the noise of the shout, they said, "What does the noise of this great shout in the camp of the Hebrews mean?" Then they understood that the ark of the Lord had come into the camp. The Philistines were afraid, for they said, "God has come into the camp." And they said, "Woe! Disaster is coming to us, for nothing like this has happened before. Woe to us! Who will rescue us from the hand of these mighty gods? These are the gods who struck the Egyptians with all kinds of plagues in the wilderness. Take the courage and be men, O Philistines, so that you do not become servants to the Hebrews, as they have been servants to you. Act like men and fight." So the Philistines fought. Israel was defeated, and every man fled to his tent. It was a very great defeat, for 30,000 foot soldiers of Israel fell. Also, the Ark of God was taken, and the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were killed. What? How? Now a man from the tribe of Benjamin ran from the battle line and came to Shiloh, that same day, with his clothes torn and dust on his head, as signs of mourning over the disaster. When he arrived, Eli was sitting on his seat by the road, keeping watch, because his heart was anxious about the Ark of the Lord, or Ark of God. When the man arrived to report the news in the city, everyone in the city cried out to God for help. When Eli heard the noise of the outcry, he asked, What is the noise of this uproar?" And the man came hurriedly and told Eli. Now Eli was 90 years old, and his eyes were so dim that he could not see. The man said to Eli, "I have come from the battle line. Indeed, I escaped from the battle line today." Eli said, "How did things go, my son?" The messenger replied, "Israel has fled before the Philistines, and there has also been a great slaughter among the people. Also, your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the Ark of God has been taken somehow." When he mentioned the Ark of God, Eli fell off the seat backwards by the side of the city gate. His neck was broken and he died, for he was old and heavy. He had judged Israel for 40 years. It was that bad? Yo. I feel like that was intentional almost. When that messenger told him, he was like, "Yeah, both your sons are dead." Eli's like, "Dang. What else?" Then the messenger's like, "What? What do you mean, what else?" "I mean, what else?" And the messenger's like, "Oh, well, they took the Ark of God." Just instantly dead. I feel like that was definitely on purpose. Like he intentionally killed himself. But yeah, clearly he was very distraught over that. But I'm thinking, well, okay, that is a bad thing. First of all, not because it's the mighty God. That's it. No, I'm just thinking that, okay, well, obviously they can't even touch it. They literally can't even touch it without dying. So that's obvious. But I'm thinking that I don't know. I feel like that's just not as bad. Maybe it has to do with the fact that Israel was so disobedient that's what Eli felt. Eli felt, whoa, they lost so bad that they brought the Ark of God and they still lost, and then they took it. He was like, nah, I'm out. Yeah, it even says Eli fell off the seat backwards by the side of the city gate. So he meant to do that. I feel like he definitely meant to do that. Oh man, that's crazy. Now his daughter-in-law, Phineas's wife, was pregnant and was about to give birth. So when she heard the news that the Ark of God had been taken and that her father-in-law and her husband had died, she kneeled down and gave birth because her labor pains began. And about the time of her death following the sudden birth, the woman attending her said to her, "Do not be afraid, for you have given birth to a son." But she did not answer or pay any attention. And she named the boy Ichabod, saying, "The glory has left Israel, because the ark of God had been taken, and because of the deaths of her father-in-law and her husband." She said, "The glory has left Israel, for the ark of God has been taken." It was that bad. Wow. Capture of the ark provokes God. I bet it would. So everything is going downhill for Israel, clearly. Then the Philistines took the ark of God and they brought it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. They took the ark of God and brought it into the house of Dagon and set it beside the image of Dagon, their chief idol. When the people of Ashdod got up early the next day, behold, Dagon had fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. So that had to be scary. That had to be very scary because obviously they were like, "Hey, I ain't pushed that." So who here is a Hebrew? Then they're checking and they're like, "Bro, nobody here is a Hebrew. How? How? There's literally nobody, no ops here. How did that happen?" And they're all confused. Like, "We don't know." And then they see, oh shoot, is he bowing down to the? Hey, just give it back to them, bro. They took the ark of God and brought it into the house of Dagon and set it beside the image of Dagon, their chief idol. When the people of Ashdod got up early the next day, behold, Dagon had fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. So they took Dagon and returned him to his place. But when they got up early the next morning, behold, Dagon had fallen again on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. And his head and both palms of his hand were lying cut off on the threshold. See, at this point, they had to be like, no, someone had to do this. But then they were like, no, wait, there's no ops are here. How? But yeah, palms of his hands were lying cut off on the threshold. Only the trunk portion of the idol Dagon was left on him. This is the reason neither the priests of Dagon nor anyone who entered Dagon's house step on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod to this day. Then, then the hand of the Lord was heavy on the people of Ashdod, and he caused them to be dumbfounded and struck with tumors, both Ashdod and its territory. When the men of Ashdod saw what happened, they said, "The ark of God of Israel must not remain with us, for his hand is heavy on us, and on Dagon our God. He's still your God after all that happened." That's crazy. So they went. So they sent word and gathered all the Lord's governors of the Philistines to them, and said, "What shall we do with the ark of God, or ark of the God of Israel?" They answered, "Let the ark of Israel be brought around to Gath." So they took the ark of God of Israel there. But it happened that after they had taken it to Gath, the hand of the Lord was against the city, causing an extremely great panic because of the deaths from the plague. For he struck the people of the city, both young and old, and tumors broke out on them. So they sent the ark of God to Ekron. And as the ark of God came to Ekron, the Ekronites cried out, "They have brought the ark of the God of Israel from Gath to us to kill us and our people." So they sent word and gathered all the lords of the Philistines and said, "Send away the ark of the God of Israel. Let it be returned to its place so that it will not kill us and our people." For there was a deadly panic throughout the city. The hand of God was very heavy, severe there. The men who had not died were stricken with tumors, and the cry of the city for help went up to heaven. And I'm sure people who just don't like to pay attention, they're like, oh, see, this is God showing His favoritism to this is God. This is the Bible, and this shows that Israel, even every mistake they made, this shows that God favored them, and it and this shows that the glorious Quran, where we have our prophet raping little girls, this is way better. That is way better than the God of the Bible, because the God of the Bible does things like this. He has favoritism, clearly. But I honestly think that it's not gonna get any better for Israel just because that no. I think I'm pretty sure God is mad at Israel too, or was mad at Israel too. The ark returned to Israel. Now the ark of the Lord had been in the country of the Philistines for 7 months, and the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, seers, saying, "What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Let us know how we can send it back to its place." They said, if you send away the ark of the Lord, of the God of Israel, do not send it empty without a gift, but be sure to return it to him together with a guilt offering. Then you will be healed, and it will be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. Then they said, what shall the guilt offering be which we shall return to him? Then they answered, 5 golden tumors and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the Lord's governors of the Philistines. For 1 plague was on all of you and on your lords. So you shall make replicas of your tumors and of your mice that ravage the land, and give glory to the God of Israel. Perhaps he will lighten his hand of judgment on you and your gods in your land. Why then do you harden your hearts, allowing pride to cause your downfall, just as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts? When he had severely dealt with them and mocked them, did they not allow the people of Israel to go, and they departed? Now then, make a new cart, and prepare 2 milk cows on which a yoke has never been placed, and hitch the cows to the cart, and make their calves back home and away from them. Then take the ark of the Lord and put it on the cart, and put the articles of gold which you are returning to him as a guilt offering in a box beside it. Then send it away without a driver. But watch. If it goes up by the way of its own territory to Beth Shemesh, then you will know that he has done us this great evil. But if not, then we will know that it was not his hand that struck us. This disaster happened to us by chance, even though it was so coordinated. You know, it felt like it was like almost, it was too real. It was too coordinated. It's like we were in a simulation. But if it doesn't if this doesn't prove it, then I guess it was just a glitch in the Matrix. It was just a glitch. And then did so, and took 2 milk cows and hitched them to the cart, and quarreled their calves at home. They put the ark of the Lord on the cart, and the box containing the golden mice and the replicas of their tumors. And the cows went straight toward Beth Shemesh along the highway, lowing as they went, and did not turn away to the right or to the left. And the Philistine lords and governors followed them to the border of Beth Shemesh. Now the men of Beth Shemesh were gathering their wheat harvest in the valley, and they took up and saw the ark and rejoiced to see it. Did I skip something? No, I didn't. Okay. I don't know why I thought that. The cart came into the field of Joshua of Beth Shemesh and stopped there. A large stone was there, and the men split up the wood of the cart for firewood, and they offered the cows as a burnt offering to the Lord. The Levites had taken down the ark of the Lord and the box beside it, in which were the articles of gold, and put them on a large stone. And the men of Beth Shemesh offered burnt offerings and made sacrifices that day to the Lord. When the 5 lords of the Philistines saw what happened, they returned to Ekron that day. These are the golden tumors which the Philistines returned as a guilt offering to the Lord. One for Ashdod, one for Gaza, one for Ashkelon, one for Gath, and one for Ekron, the 5 chief cities of the Philistines. Also, the golden mice, according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines, belongs to the 5 lords, both fortified and unwalled country villages. The large stone on which the Levites set the ark of the Lord remains a witness to this day in the field of Joshua of Beth Shemesh. The Lord struck down some of the men of Beth Shemesh because they had looked into the ark of the Lord. He struck down 50,070 men among the people, and the people mourned because the Lord had struck the people with a great slaughter. The men of Beth Shemesh said, "Who is able to stand before the Lord, this holy God? And whom shall he go up from us?" So they sent messengers to the residents of Kiriath Jearim, saying, "The Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord. Come down and take it up to you. Take it from us, please." Rescue from the Philistines. So the men of Kiriath Jearim came and took up the ark of the Lord and brought it into the house of Aminadab on the hill, and they consecrated Eleazar his son to care for the ark of the Lord. And from that day, the ark remained in Kiriath Jearim for a very long time, for it was 20 years up until the reign of King David, and all the house of Israel lamented, wailed, and grieved after the Lord. Then Samuel said to all the house of Israel, "If you are returning to the Lord with all your heart, remove the foreign gods and the Ashtaroth pagan goddesses from among you, and direct your hearts to the Lord and serve him only, and he will rescue you from the hand of the Philistines." So the Israelites removed the Baals and the Ashtaroth and served the Lord alone. Samuel said, "Gather all Israel together at Mizpah, and I will pray to the Lord for you." So they gathered at Mizpah and drew water and poured it out before the Lord, and fasted on that day, and said there, "We have sinned against the Lord." And Samuel judged the Israelites at Mizpah. Now, when the Philistines heard that the Israelites had gathered at Mizpah, the Lord's governors of the Philistines went up against Israel. And when the Israelites heard it, they were afraid of the Philistines. And the sons of, for some reason, by the way, they were afraid for some reason, even though I'm sure they knew that God had annihilated 50,000 people. Man, whatever. They even forgot what he did for them. And the sons of Israel said to Samuel, hold on, wait. And when the Israelites heard it, they were afraid of the Philistines. And the sons of Israel said to Samuel, "Do not cease to cry out to the Lord our God for us, so that he may save us from the hand of the Philistines." So Samuel took a nursing lamb and offered it as a whole burnt offering to the Lord. And Samuel cried out to the Lord for Israel, and the Lord answered him. As Samuel was offering up the burnt offering, the Philistines approached for battle against Israel. Then the Lord thundered with a great voice that day against the Philistines and threw them into confusion, and they were defeated and fled before Israel. And the men of Israel came out of Mizpah and pursued the Philistines and struck them down as far as the territory below Beth-kar. Then Samuel took a stone and set it between Mizpah and Shen, and he named it Ebenezer, stone of help, saying, "Thus far the Lord has helped us." So the Philistines were subdued, and they did not come any more into Israelite territory. And the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines all the days of Samuel. The cities which the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron to Gath, Israel recovered the city's territory from the Philistines. Also, there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. Samuel's ministry. Now Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. He used to go annually on a circuit to Beth, Gilgal, and Mizpah, and he judged Israel in all these places. Then he would return to Ramah because his home was there, and he judged Israel, and there he built an altar to the Lord. Or Israel demands a king. And it came about when Samuel was old that he appointed his sons as judges over Israel. Now the names of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abijah. They were judging in Beersheba. His sons, however, did not walk in his ways, but turned aside after dishonest gain, took bribes, and perverted justice. Then all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah, and said to him, Look, you have grown old, and your sons did not walk in your ways. Now, appoint us a king to judge us and rule over us like all the other nations. But their demand displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge and rule over us. So Sam prayed to the Lord. The Lord said to Samuel, Listen to the voice of the people in regard to all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me for being king over them, like all the deeds which they have done since the day that I brought them up from Egypt, even to this day. In that they have abandoned, rejected me, and have served other gods. So they are doing to you also. So now listen to their voice. Only solemnly warn them, and tell them the ways of the king who will reign over them. Sounds like an ultimatum. Warning concerning a king. So Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people who were asking for him for a king. He said, Okay, these will be the ways of the king who will reign over you. You will take your sons and appoint them for himself to his chariots and among his horsemen, and they will run before his chariots. He will appoint them for himself to be commanders over thousands and over 50s, and some to do his plowing and to reap his harvest and to make his implements of war and equipment for his chariots. You will take your daughters to be perfumers, cooks, and bakers. He will take the best of your fields, your vineyards, and your olive groves, and give them to his servants. He will take a tenth of your grain and of your vineyards and give it to his officers and to his servants. He will take your male servants and your female servants and your best young men and all your donkeys and use them for his work. He will take a tenth of your flocks, and you yourself shall be his servants. Then you will cry out on that day because your king whom you have chosen for yourselves. But the Lord will not answer you on that day because you have rejected him as king. Nevertheless, the people refused to listen to the voice of Samuel. How? And they said, No, but there shall be a king over us, so that we too may be like all. They have a king, so we can have a king, even though we already have a king. like all the nations around us, that our king may judge and govern us and go out before us and fight our battles. Yeah. Samuel heard all the words of the people and repeated them to the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, Listen to their request and appoint a king over them, a king for them. So Samuel said to the men of Israel, Go, each man to his own city. This is like dealing with children. I'm so glad I wasn't Samuel. No. More like I'm so glad I wasn't a prophet back in the day, because I don't think I can handle it. Or wait, should I do it like soul search? Anyway, there was a man of the tribe of Benjamin whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Bechoros, the son of Aphiah, a Benjamite, a mighty man of influence and wealth. Kish had a son named Saul, a choice and handsome man among the sons of Israel. There was not a man more handsome than he. From his shoulders and up, he was a head taller than any of the people. Now the donkeys of Kish, Saul's father, had wandered off and were lost. Kish said to his son Saul, "Please take one of the servants with you and arise. Go look for the donkeys." And they passed through the hill country of Ephraim, in the land of Shalisha, but did not find them. Then they passed through the land of Shalim, but they were not there, in the land of the Benjamites, but they still did not find them. When we came to the land of Zuph, Saul said to his servant who was with him, "Come, let us return, otherwise my father will stop worrying about the donkeys and become anxious about us." The servant said to him, "Look, here, in this city, there's a man of God, and the man is held in honor. Everything that he says comes true. Now let us go there. Perhaps he can advise us about our journey and tell us where we should go." Then Saul said to his servant, "But look, if we go to see him, what shall we bring to the man? For the bread of our sacks is gone after there is no gift to bring to the man of God. What do we have to offer?" The servant replied again to Saul, "Here, in my hand I have a quarter or a shekel of silver. I will give that to the man of God, and he will advise us as to where we should go on our journey to find the donkeys." Formerly in Israel, when a man went to inquire of God, he would say, "Come, let us go to the seer." For he who is called a prophet today was formerly called a seer. Saul said to his servant, "Well said. Come, let us go." So they went to the city where the man of God was living. As they went up the hill to the city, they met some young women going out to draw water, and said to them, "Is the seer prophet here?" They answered them, "He is. Look, he's ahead of you. Hurry now, for he has come into the city today, because the people have a sacrifice on the high place today. As you enter the city, you will find him before he goes up to the high place to eat, for the people will not eat until he comes, because he must ask the blessing on the sacrifice. Afterward, those who are invited will eat. So go up now, for about now you will find him." So they went up to the city, and as they came into the city, there was Samuel coming out toward them, to go up to the high place, God's choice for king. Now, a day before Saul came, the Lord had informed Samuel of this, saying, "About this time tomorrow I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin, and you shall anoint him as leader over my people Israel, and he will save my people from the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon the distress of my people, because their cry for help has come to me." When Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said to him, "There is the man of whom I spoke to you. This one shall rule over my people as their king." Then Saul approached Samuel in the city gate and said, "Please tell me where the seer's house is." Samuel answered Saul, "I am the seer. Go on ahead of me to the high place, for you shall eat with me today, and in the morning I will let you go, and will tell you that is on your mind. We'll tell you all that is on your mind. As for your donkeys, which were lost 3 days ago, do not be concerned about them, for they have been found. And for whom are all the things that are desirable in Israel? Are they not for you and for all your father's household family?" Saul replied, I'm not a Benjamite, of the smallest tribes of Israel. And is my family the smallest of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin? Why then have you spoken this way to me, as if I were very important?" And Samuel took Saul and his servant and brought them into the hall and at the high place, and gave them a place to sit at the head of the persons. About 30 men who were invited, while the rest ate outside. Samuel said to the cook, "Bring the priest's portion that I gave you, regarding which I told you. Set it aside." Then the cook lifted up the leg thigh with the meat that was on it, indicating that the priest's honored portion, it was the priest's honored portion, and placed it before Saul. Samuel said, "Here is what has been reserved for you. Set it before you and eat it, because it has been kept for you until the appointed time, ever since I invited the people." So Saul ate with Samuel that day. When they came down from the high place into the city, Samuel spoke with Saul on the roof of his house. They got up early the next day at dawn, and at dawn Samuel called Saul, who was sleeping on the roof, saying, "Get up, so that I may send you on your way." Saul got up, and both he and Samuel went outside. As they were going to the outskirts of the city, Samuel said to Saul, "Tell the servant to go on ahead of us, so that he may pass by. But you stand still now, so that I may proclaim the word of God to you." Saul among prophets. Then Samuel took the flask of oil and poured it on Saul's head, kissed him, and said, "Has the Lord not anointed you as ruler over his inheritance, Israel? When you leave me today, you will meet two men beside Rachel's tomb in the territory of Benjamin at Zilzah. They will say to you, 'The donkeys you went to look for have been found.' And your father has stopped caring about them and is worried about you, saying, 'What shall I do about my son?' Then you will go on further from there, and you will come to the terebinth tree of Tabor, and 3 men going up to sacrifice to God at Bethel will meet you there, one carrying 3 young goats, another carrying 3 loaves of bread, and another carrying a jug of wine. They will greet you and give you 2 loaves of bread, which you will accept from their hand. After that, you will come to the hill of God, where the garrison of the Philistines is. And when you come there to the city, you will meet a group of prophets coming down from the high place of worship with harp, tambourine, flutes, and lyre before them, and they will be prophesying. Then the Spirit of the Lord will come upon you mightily, and you will prophesy with them, and you will be changed into another man. When these signs come to you, do for yourself whatever the situation requires, for God is with you. You shall go down ahead of me to Gilgal, and behold, I will be coming down to you to offer burnt offerings and to sacrifice peace offerings. You shall wait 7 days until I come to you and show you what you must do." Then it happened, when Saul turned his back to leave Samuel, God changed his heart, and all those things came to pass that day. When they came to the hill Gibeah, behold, a group of prophets met him, and the Spirit of the Lord came on him mightily, and he prophesied under divine guidance among them. Now, when all who knew Saul previously saw that he had actually prophesied now by inspiration with the prophets, the people said to one another, "What has happened to Saul, who is nobody but the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets?" And a man from there answered, "But who is the father of the others?" So it became a proverb, "Is Saul among the prophets?" When Saul had finished prophesying, he went to the high place of worship. Saul's uncle said to him and to his servants, "Where'd you go?" And Saul said, "To look for the donkeys. And when we saw that they were nowhere to be found, we went to Samuel for help." Saul's uncle said, "Please tell me, what did Samuel say to you?" And Saul said to his uncle, "He told us plainly that the donkeys had been found, but he did not tell him about the manner of the kingdom which Samuel had mentioned." Saul publicly chosen king. And Samuel called the people together to the Lord at Mizpah. And he said to Israel, "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, it was I who brought Israel up from Egypt, and I rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians and from all the kingdoms that were oppressing you. But today you have rejected your God, who himself saves you from all your disasters and distresses. Yet you have said, 'No, set a king over us.' Now then, present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and by your families, clans. And when Samuel brought all the tribes of Israel near, the tribe of Benjamin was chosen by lot. Then he brought the tribe of Benjamin near by their families, and the family of Matri was chosen by lot. And Saul the son of Kish was chosen by lot. But when they looked for him, he could not be found. So they inquired further of the Lord, has the man come here yet? And the Lord answered, he is there, hiding himself by the provisions and supplies. So they ran and took him from there. And when he stood among the people, he was taller than any of the people from his shoulders upward. Samuel said to all the people, do you see him whom the Lord has chosen? For there is no one like him among all the people. So all the people shouted and said, long live the king. And Samuel told the people the requirements of the kingdom, and wrote them in a book, and placed it before the Lord. And Samuel sent all the people away, each one to his home. Saul also went home to Gibeah, and the brave men whose hearts God had touched went with him. But some worthless men said, how can this man save and rescue us? And they regarded Saul with contempt and did not bring him a gift. But he ignored the insult and kept silent. Saul defeats the Ammonites. Now Nahash, the Ammonite king, went up and besieged Jabesh Gilead. And all the men of Jabesh said to Nahash, make a treaty of peace with us, and we will serve you. But Nahash, the Ammonite, told them, I will make a treaty with you on this condition, that I will gouge out the right eye of every one of you, and make it a disgrace upon all Israel. The elders of Jabesh said to Nahash, give us 7 days so that we may send messengers throughout the territory of Israel. Then if not, there is no one to save us, we will come out and surrender to you. Then the messengers came to Gibeah of Saul, and told the news to the people, and all the people raised their voices and wept aloud. Now Saul was coming out of the field behind the oxen, and he said, what is the matter with the people that they are weeping? So they told him about the report of the men of Jabesh. The Spirit of God came upon Saul mightily when he heard these words, and he became extremely angry. He took a team of oxen and cut them into pieces, and sent them throughout the territory of Israel by the hand of the messengers, saying, whoever does not come out to follow Saul and Samuel, the same shall be done to his oxen. Then the fear of the Lord fell on the people, and they came out united as one man with one purpose. He assembled and counted them at Bezek, and the sons of Israel numbered 300,000, and the men of Judah 30,000. They said to the messengers who had come, you shall say to the men of Jabesh Gilead, tomorrow by the time the sun is hot, you will have help against the Ammonites. So the messengers came and reported this to the men of Jabesh, and they were overjoyed. So the men of Jabesh said to Nahash the Ammonite, tomorrow we will come out to you to surrender, and you may do to us whatever seems good to you. The next morning, Saul put the men into 3 companies, and they entered the Ammonites' camp during the darkness of the early morning. Watched and killed the Ammonites until the heat of the day, and the survivors were scattered, and not 2 of them were left together. The people said to Samuel, who is the one who said, shall Saul reign over us? Bring this men, and we will put them to death. But Saul said, no man shall be put to death this day, for today the Lord has brought victory to Israel. Samuel said to the people, come, let us go to Gilgal, and there restore the kingdom. So all the people went to Gilgal, and they made Saul king before the Lord in Gilgal. They also sacrificed peace offerings before the Lord, and there Saul and all the men of Israel rejoiced greatly. Samuel addresses Israel. And Samuel said to all Israel, behold, I have listened to your voice and everything that you have said to me, and have appointed a king over you, And now here's the king walking before you. As for me, I am old and gray, and here are my sons with you. I have walked before you from my childhood to this day. Here I am, testifying against me before the Lord and Saul his anointed. If I have done someone wrong, whose oxen have I taken, or whose donkey have I taken, or whom have I exploited? Whom have I oppressed, or from whose hand have I taken a bribe to blind eyes to the truth? Tell me, and I will restore it to you. They said, You have not exploited us or oppressed us or taken anything at all from a man's hand. Samuel said to them, The Lord is a witness against you. And Saul, his anointed, is a witness to this day that you have not found anything in my hand. And they answered, He is a witness. And Samuel said to the people, It is the Lord who appointed Moses and Aaron and brought your fathers' ancestors from the land of from the land of Egypt. Now then, take your stand so that I may plead and contend with you before the Lord concerning all the righteous acts of the Lord, which he did for you and for your fathers. When Jacob and his sons had come into Egypt, and later when the Egyptians oppressed them, and your fathers cried out to the Lord, then the Lord sent Moses and Aaron, who brought your fathers out of Egypt and settled them in this place. But when they forgot the Lord their God, he sold them into the hand of Sisera, commander of Hazor's army, and into the land of the Philistines and of the king of Moab, and they fought against them. They cried out to the Lord, saying, We have sinned because we have abandoned and rejected the Lord, and have served the Baals and the Ashtaroth. But now rescue us from the hands of our enemies, and we will serve you. Then the Lord sent Jerubbaal, Gideon, and Bedan, and Jephthah, and Samuel, and he rescued you from the hand of your enemies on every side, and you lived in security. The king confirmed. But when you saw that Nahash, king of the Ammonites, had come against you, you said to me, No, but a king shall reign over us, although the Lord your God was your king. Now therefore here is Saul, the king whom you have chosen, and for whom you asked. Behold, the Lord has set a king over you. If you will fear the Lord with awe and profound reverence, and serve him, and listen to his voice, and not rebel against his commandment, then both of you and your king will follow the Lord your God, and it will be well. But if you do not listen to the Lord's voice, but rebel against his command, then the hand of the Lord will be against you to punish you, as it was against your fathers. So now take your stand and see this great thing which the Lord will do before your eyes. Is it not the beginning of what the wheat harvest today? I will call to the Lord, and he will send thunder and rain. Then you will know without any doubt and see that your evil which you have done is great in the sight of the Lord by asking for yourselves a king. So Samuel called to the Lord in prayer, and he sent thunder and rain that day, and all the people greatly feared the Lord and Samuel. Then all the people said to Samuel, Pray to the Lord your God for your servants, so that we will not die, for we have added to all our sins this evil to ask for a king for ourselves. Samuel said to the people, Do not be afraid. You have indeed done all this evil, yet do not turn away from following the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart. You must not turn away, for then you would go after futile things which cannot profit or rescue, because they are futile. The Lord will not abandon his people for his great name's sake, because the Lord has been pleased to make you a people for himself. Moreover, as for me, far be it from me that I should sin against the Lord by ceasing to pray for you. But I will instruct you in the good and right way. Only fear the Lord with awe and profound reverence, and serve him faithfully with all your heart, for considering what great things he has done for you. But if you still do evil, both you and your king will be swept away to destruction. war with the Philistines. Saul was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 42 years over Israel. Saul chose for himself 3,000 men of Israel, of whom 2,000 were with him in Michmash, and in the hill country of Bethel, while 1,000 were with Jonas at Gibeah of Benjamin. But he sent the rest of the people away, each one to his own tent. Jonathan attacked and defeated the Philistines' garrison, which was at Gibeah, and the Philistines heard about it. Then Saul blew the trumpet throughout the land, saying, "Let the Hebrews hear." All Israel heard that Saul had defeated the Philistine garrison, and also that Israel had become despicable to the Philistines, and the people were summoned to join Saul at Gilgal. Now the Philistines gathered to fight against Israel, 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and troops in multitude, like sand on the seashore. They came up and camped at Michmash, east of Beth-Aven. When the men of Israel saw that they were in a tight situation, for the troops were hard pressed, they hid in caves and thickets and cellars and in dry cisterns pits. Also, some of the Hebrews had crossed the river Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. As for Saul, he was still in Gilgal, and all the people followed him, trembling in fear and anticipation. Now Saul waited 7 days according to the appointed time which Samuel had set. But Samuel had not come to Gilgal, and the people were scattering away from Saul. So Saul said, "Bring me the burnt offering and the peace offerings." And he offered the burnt offering which he was forbidden to do. As soon as he finished offering the burnt offering, Samuel finally came. Saul went out to meet him and to welcome him, but Samuel said, "What have you done?" Saul said, "Since I saw that the people were scattering away from me, and that you did not come with the appointed time, and that the Philistines were assembling in Michmash, therefore I said, now the Philistines will come down against me at Gilgal, and I will have not asked for the Lord's favor by making supplication to him. So I forced myself to offer the burnt offering." Samuel said to Saul, "You have acted foolishly. You have not kept the commandment of the Lord your God which he commanded you. For if you had obeyed the Lord, would have established your kingdom over Israel forever. But now your kingdom shall not endure. The Lord has sought out for himself a man, David, after his own heart, and the Lord has appointed him as a leader, and ruler over his people, because you have not obeyed what the Lord commanded you." Then Samuel arose and went from Gilgal to Gibeah of Benjamin. And Saul assembled and counted the people who were still with him, only about 600 fighting men. What the heck? So 600, that's a massive step down. Saul and his son Jonathan and the people with them were standing in Gibeah of Benjamin, while the Philistines camped at Michmash. And the raiding party came from the Philistine camp in 3 companies. On one company turned toward Ophrah, to the leader of Shual. Another company turned toward Beth Horon, and another toward the border overlooking the valley of Zeboim, toward the wilderness. Now no blacksmith metalworker could be found in all the land of Israel, for the Philistines said, "Otherwise the Hebrews will make swords or spears." So all the men of Israel went down to the Philistines, each to get his plowshare, pick, axe, or sickle sharpened. The fee for sharpening was a pim, 2/3 of a shekel, for the plowshares, the picks, the pitchforks, and the axes, and to straighten the cattle prods. So it came about on the day of battle that neither sword nor spear was found in the hands of any of the people who were with Saul and Jonathan. But Saul and Jonathan his son had them. And garrison of the Philistines went out to the pass
and Michmash. But yeah. All right. I don't know what else to say after that. I just know everything is going bad for the Israelites. That's it. All right. God bless.